small and I got a big mouth.
Hey guys, I'm back. More interviews. I have about 10 interviews lined up. I'll do one every week until the Gumball Rally. I'm going to try to. That's my goal. I do need some stickers for my backdrop. If you have any stickers, please come see me. I will be at the Paris team race event on January 13th. I will be doing the sound checks for the bikes, but I'll be at the races. Please come see me if you have any stickers for my backdrop. Oh, huge favor. If you could subscribe to the YouTube channel, you'll get an email every time I release an interview. I'm going to try to do them every Sunday, but I do have a real life job and this doesn't pay anything. So please subscribe. That'll help out a lot, and like the video. And now here's the interview with Doug Nicol.
Hey Doug, how'd you get involved in racing Speedway to begin with?
I rode motocross. I rode flat track and TT first and road racing, and then motocross for years and years, and kind of wore out my welcome, I think, on over on that side, And I went to watch a Speedway race. My friend Bobby Toko was riding, and I called Lance King and I said, "Send me 2 bikes. I'm going to ride next year." And that was in '84. My first year was '85. So basically, it was kind of, I was bored. I was running a lot, running races. After I got fired from Honda the last time, I was like running and doing all kinds of, I was kickboxing and stuff like that. And I just had to really have some type of excitement. So I started riding that in '85.
Did you ever run a marathon?
Half marathon. I was going to run a marathon. That's what I was training for. And I ran the Harbor Lights half marathon, and I led it for 11 miles and stepped on a rock and hyperextended my knee. And I got 330th out of 5,100. And I club footed it for 2 miles, It was crazy. I thought I was going to win the thing.
Did you run 10Ks before that?
I ran 10Ks every week.
What was your fastest 10K time?
I don't know, 40,
You know?
40, I think. I won my class all the time in that.
Oh, right on. What are some of the riders that helped you out along the way when you started riding Speedway?
Lance King helped me, 100%. I've always been connected with the Agajanian family. And so they were building South Bay Stadium. So I left a bike there and I rode every day after work. Every time Lance could come down, like I said, I bought 2 bikes from him. And every time he was around, we rode every day. It was, a big help.
Where'd you guys ride at?
At Ascot.
And it was just open every day to ride at?
For some of us.
Who were some of your first sponsors who helped you out when you started riding?
Chris Agajanian was a huge one. And I had Ben Taylor Concrete Pumping, Arai Helmets. I had AXO Sport. I had a girlfriend that had a pizza parlor, and it was Fast Freddy's Pizza, and we sold pizza at Ascot. So I made a bunch of money off that. And who else helped me? I wish I had my Ascot leather so I could look at them, but I had quite a few good, faithful sponsors, mainly friends and stuff,
Who raced you the hardest on the track?
My first year was '85 and everybody was here. Lance was here. Bobby was here. Lucero was here. Sandona, Faria, Dub Farrell, Alan Christian. Alan Christian took me to school a few times my first year, and Kelly was here. I'd been friends with Kelly Moran since 1970. We rode mini bikes together, And so when I came over to Speedway, he rode with me quite a few times over at Ascot. But I'll tell you, Lucero he hated to lose, and it took me like 24 days to make first division, from my first race, and I won the first night, handicap naturally, but man, Lucero hated to lose, and he's kind of a joker, So we had we still mess with each other. You know, I see him, 2-3 times a week during the season.
Did he ever play any mean jokes on you or any funny jokes?
We faked a fight at Costa Mesa, and Harry Oxley came up, and I had Steve by the throat, and he's all, don't wreck my chain. He had a gold chain with a cross or something on it, and I had him by the throat. He wore them bandanas, you know. And Harry came and said, Doug, you know, like, what are you doing? And we're saying, hey, this is a setup, you know, this is a setup. Well, you ought to let us in on it, you know. And Harry's like pulling me up, choking me and shit, you know. It was classic.
How did you get the nickname Doug the Destroyer?
The Destroyer came from Huffman, Larry Huffman. He did a radio show, you know, and it was like Dynamite Doug first, and then Daring Doug, I think, for a little while. But I called in every week to Huffman's radio show, and I gave all the speed. You know, we were riding 6 nights a week, so I gave all the results, you know. And he did it on Monday nights. I think it was Monday night, yeah, because we were Carlsbad on Sunday, so it had to be Monday. It was the only night we had off. And I would call in and give all the results, you know. And so one night Fishback was on there, and he's Doug the Destroyer, you know, and I thought it was kind of cool. So that's where that came from.
How many times have you hit the wall and gone over it?
Twice.
Mike Bloom asked me to ask you that.
The first time was at Auburn, and I was on Lance King's bike. I rented it it was a national qualifier, and this thing had a motocross forks on it. It was a PJ frame, and it was like, it had Kawasaki 65 forks. It was really tricky. You know, Lance's stuff was always really nice, you know. And I hooked up and went straight in the pit wall, you know, and turn 2 and went over the thing. And that the second time it was at Costa Mesa on this last go around when I came back, and me and Buck Blair had like kind of one of these deals, you know. He was saying, you know, you aren't that fast and you think you're cool. And I was saying, you know what, anybody who wear glasses like that's a tool, you know, and all kinds of stuff. We ended up being good buddies, you know. But the night I went over into the wall and you know, into the stands in the back straight, the first ride, I think he beat me in the last lap or something like that, and I pulled his kill button coming off the track, and he pissed. We almost fought, you know. The second ride, I was going to just try to make the main. You know, I was just trying to put laps together because I was never good at that. You know, if I was in second, and Scott Delasio and I talked about that a while back, how many times I was in second in a scratch semi and threw it away trying to win the thing when I could have gotten to the main. I did it a lot. The time I went over at Costa Mesa, I was hurting so bad, man. I hit the wall and my knees hit the bars and just kind of flipped me over, and I bounced on the ground, and I remember looking up, and Brock and Hannah were like looking at me, and I was hurting bad, but I jumped up and was, yeah, it isn't no big deal, you know. And Brian Galvin was the referee, and he said, hey, you gonna get back in there? No, the bike's junk, you know, I don't have a spare one. I was hurting so bad, but I didn't want people to think I was a pussy, so I just walked out. I don't have a bike, you know. And so, man, it was rough, but I had to act like I was a tough guy, you know. So
I found that video on YouTube. I'm gonna put it at the end of this. It's pretty good. It's on Mike Bloom's YouTube channel, but I'll put it on the end of this. I thought you just walked away and rode later that night.
No, that bike was junk. I ruined like 2 bikes, and they were Bobby Campbell's bikes, and I ruined like 2 or 3 of them in like a month.
How much did it cost to rent a bike like from Lance King when you went to Auburn?
It was like $150 a night, and it came with a tire, and you didn't have to wash it or nothing. So you just showed up, and it was $150. You know, it was a good deal.
When you were riding 6 days a week, was it enough money to make a living?
Yeah, you could do it easy. Back then, if you made it out of the heat race, you're good for $150, you know. It's not like it is now.
How did you get the nickname Uncle Doug?
I lived with Donnie Emler, Uncle Donnie Emler, and senior, not the kid. So it kind of came from that, but I'm Donnie Odom's uncle. And I had quit for a year and a half or something like that. And he was going to England. So I said, you know what? He isn't going to make it unless I go with him because of setup and stuff. And he doesn't really work on bikes too well. So he told the lady we lived with, hey, I'm bringing my uncle. Well, Donnie and I were brought up like brothers, really. He was a little brother I didn't have. We were always together. I had him riding at 3 years old, racing at 3 years old on an Indian little mini. Anyways, I showed up in England. Everybody knew me as Uncle Doug because I was Donnie Odom's uncle. That's where it all originated pretty much.
So it originated in England, kind of, the story got going.
It took off. Yeah, it took off there.
Do you ever remember your times in Wolverhampton in the bars in the 90s there?
Yeah, I want to forget some of them. I got some good fights there. I love fighting, Unfortunately, I'm not that tough of a dude, but I kickboxed for a long time. So, and I snapped, so pretty much I think I'm, Charles Atlas, but I'm not. I'm a little decrepit old man,
Did you ever get into it with Steve Evans there?
Oh, yeah. I would get so, I haven't drank in 18 years.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing, I would get hammered every Monday night. We'd go there and eat dinner up top there, and I'd start throwing them back,
If Brock goes over to England, would you go with him for a little bit?
He doesn't want me over there.
Are you allowed over there?
I am. There's some stories, I rode for Middlesbrough, and there used to be, we'd bring people with us every week. So there'd be like, sometimes 50 people or more at the gate waiting to see who came with us. Yano Pedersen, Neil Evitts, Greg, Billy, a lot of people, all the heroes, And so we have some good stories from Cleveland Park.
How'd you get involved with the Ascot brand, and are you taking the trailer out anytime soon?
The Ascot brand, Ascot's helped me forever. I rode motocross there, and when I was riding Class C in the 70s, District 37, and I just love racing motorcycles. I like in 73, 74, I rode like Tuesday night at Trojan on mini bikes, and Wednesday at Ascot on mini bikes, on motocross, Trojan on Thursday, Friday at Irwindale, and Saturday wherever the big races were, Saturday and Sunday. But Chris Agajanian, I'm from Culver City, and then we moved to Palos Verdes Estates. It's like a stone's throw from Ascot. And Chris always took care of me. I sold peanuts there when I was a little kid. And my dad would drop me off because his shop was in Gardena. And I would sell peanuts. I get like $5 a box commission. It was cool. And I had my regulars Friday night, Class C night, when this is when I was little. And my dad would come, he'd go to the bar and shoot pool and then come and pick me up. And, it was pretty cool. But
what kind of shop did your dad have?
My dad was a mechanical contractor, plumbing and piping. Same as what I do.
That's what you do is plumbing right now?
Yeah. I've been with the same company 40 years.
What company is that?
Murray Company. Yeah, we do all that. We're doing the big stadium. We did Staples Center, Getty Museum, we do all big stuff, hospitals and that. We did $384 million last year in plumbing. So they're huge. When I started there, they weren't.
You went to New York and rode the U.S. Open Championship. How was that, and how did you get the bikes out there?
Well, Brock won it the year before, and I thought he rented a bike, he rode Auburn and then flew on a red eye. And I knew Billy was going to try to make it there. He ended up missing his flight, Gennaro. So I wanted Brock on his bike, or one of his bikes. So, and the California State was like 3 days before or something, or a few days before. And so what I did was I boxed his bike up and sent it UPS. And then I went, a day or so before Brock. I just rented a bike. I rode Bosignor's bike, you know. But
And that event was pretty cool. It's a 2-day event. Any plans on going back there next year, maybe?
I'm going to. I don't know if Brock will probably be in England. I'm not sure. We haven't signed yet, but there's a chance. I've been talking with Jason, and I'd like to do it. It's a fun deal. I don't ride that much, and it was pouring rain the first night. I thought I was going to win the thing. I won like I don't know how many rides, but I petered out in the end. I think I got fourth.
Have a flat tire too there or something like that?
Yeah, the second day it rained off the second day, and then so we came back on Monday. It was like I think I was running around third or fourth, right with Gino, in points. And I was keeping track of Adam Middle, Mikey Booman, but I totally forgot about Casey Dunhold. And so we met like in the third round or something. I won my first 2 rides, and I go, man, I got to beat this guy because I had no idea where he was. I wanted to make the final the second day. And so I got a flat. I was going to beat him. So I just went out in the dirt, and the thing hooked up, and I did this big crash into the wall, and the throttle cable was wrapped around my arm, and bike's flipping around, and the kill button didn't work. And, so the bike landed on me, and the pipe was on my neck, and it was just like burning up. So I got out from under it, and they were going to call the race. And I told the ref, hey, you can't call the race. We only win 1 3/4 laps, and it's a championship. You got to run the race. He goes, well, you need a tire. I said, I don't need a tire. So I started on the back on the flat. I got second, I ended up making the final. I got last in every one, but I still was in there to watch,
Have you ever got into it with a referee?
all the time.
Who'd you get into it the most with?
Probably Galvin on this last time, because I didn't care. I worked 6 days a week anyways. I always have. When I was riding 5 and 6 nights a week, I was working. I just, I had people drive me to and from the races. But when I came back this time, I could care less if I won or lost. So I would watch, and count from the green light to the flag and get into a groove and you go 1,000, 2,000, and I could care less if I got disqualified. And so I would break the tapes all the time, and I didn't even care because I wasn't out there to do it for money anyways. I was just out there just for fun. So Brian and I, when I would get a flyer, he would stop it. I'm saying, dude, I made a perfect start. And so we got into it quite a few times about that. But, it is what it is.
Are you planning on riding again soon?
I think I'm going to ride the Winter Series. I'm going to come out of retirement again for the 47th time.
Let me see. 2019, you'll be turning 60.
Yeah.
Is there any way we could do a Silver Cup with you, Mike Faria, Eddie Castro, Sean McConnell?
What about Bobby Schwartz?
What if Bobby Schwartz wins it?
So he ain't going to win that thing. Are you kidding me? I'm going to win the whole deal. The last national that I rode, the first ride, I wasn't even riding, and they called me because Chris Kerr, I think, got hurt the night before. And the first ride was McConnell, me, Bobby, and Faria. I pulled up, and Bobby says, hey, you're in my first ride? I said, I already put 3 points in. Look. And it just messed him up so bad. It was classic.
So in 2019, we could book you guys in for a Grey Cup, just like 2 races.
That would be classic, the Grey Cup. I am going. I've got some dead hair there.
I think a lot of people would be interested in seeing that.
Our doctor probably.
Speedway Academy. You helped a lot of riders out with Speedway Academy and stuff. Any plans on doing that again, or doing classes or lessons?
Well, I've got all the Hagen's Academy bikes here, and I was trying to put something together with Billy Gennaro, and he lives up there, and we're down here, and I work. So, and we didn't really have a place to for a home track like we had at Pirate when I was doing it with Billy Hamill. But there's a new track coming in at Paris Auto Speedway. I'm thinking maybe we could do it there or Milestone, but I don't want to be bringing bikes back and forth in that,
We're in your academy, like Sebastian and Brock and who else?
Curtis, Dalton, Leedy, the Rommels, a lot of people, came when they were in town, like the kids from up north would also do it. And we did some up north too. Wilbur Hancock he rode his first ever bike. We put him on a cadet, the week of the gumball. So, there's a lot of the kids. I love, I'm passionate about helping kids and in anything. I didn't know anything about baseball or anything like that. And I coached Brock's teams, and he was on travel teams with these pros, and I took care of the facilities, and, we tore down the snack bar. Bruce Penhall came in and donated all his time and his guys. We tore down the snack bar and built new ones, and I made phone calls and got like $85,000 donated, and we built like a restaurant, and the LA County supervisor, Don Kanabe, came and served hot dogs and stuff. I'm really, there's at those kind of things, there's 500 and something kids that are having memories, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just for my kid that I was given 60 hours a week making a bitchin' baseball park, but there's that's all that stuff's supposed to be cool. And I fought with umpires there too, believe me. I mean, it was classic. But that's just, I think, my competitive spirit. If a kid needs help, and and I could see a lot of them. I'm helping this little guy, Andrew Russell. He's cool as heck, and he lives right here. He's getting on a 250 now. Anybody wants help, if I'm out there or whatever, and I could see something that I think they're doing, that I mention it.
A lot of people I've interviewed have said you helped them, like even Luke Becker and Sebastian. I think you helped the Rummels out too a couple of times.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I never knew you were a fighter though.
Yeah, I love fighting. Yeah.
Did you have a favorite MMA person?
Well, I trained in the Kali Academy, which is Bruce Lee's art, for years. It's fun, but I'm small and I got a big mouth. I'm small and I got a big mouth. You either hit them and run, or you take a couple and get inside, and then you could trap them,
Who are your favorite motocross riders of all time?
Jeremy McGrath's my favorite. I taught him how to ride a Speedway bike. He's a friend of ours. He took Brocky on the Tonight Show with him. But I rode motocross for a long, long time, so I know. I lived with Danny Laporte for a while, and I know quite a few of the old guys. Motocross is different now. It's changed a lot since I haven't ridden since '82.
Do you have a favorite place to eat?
My favorite place to eat is Philippe's downtown. Philippe's is a 100-year-old sandwich shop, Chinatown in downtown LA. It's right across the street from Cal Endowment, or like the train station and that.
When will the Ascot trailer be out again?
It's probably the next time I'm going to do it is probably Long Beach. Long Beach is huge for us, and but we're going to do, I think, a couple of Paris, Freddie Edwards, SoCal flat track, and that sometimes I take it to the swap meet. I go to the Long Beach, motorcycle swap meet, Marshall Toppings deal, and we bring Brock's bike and Hancock's bike and park them out there. we're hooked up with another guy that goes to all the Champ Car and all the couple of the AMA Flat Track Nationals and some outlaw races this year. So it's going to be busy, and you know, Long Beach is a big one for us. Eddie Molders is a big one. We did Paris Auto Speedway the last night for the flat track guys, and had an autograph signing with all my old heroes, you know, and all the flat track guys.
Oh, the branding for Brock is so right on. His stickers are pretty
cool
awesome. Yeah, I love his stickers, and even the
the backdrop.
The backdrop is pretty cool.
The way we do it, I put a lot of work into it. Brock puts a ton of work. I think we do it right. The presentation and all that stuff. I wish some of the other kids would look more into it, because it's not that expensive. And if, you know, like I went to Swollen and they made those things for us for nothing, you know. Naturally, I'm friends with Todd Peterson. We were teammates at Long Beach Honda in 73 and 4, you know. You know, the more professional you look, the right guy might come through the turnstiles and go, you know what, that guy's cool. I like that Big Daddy, or I like that Mad Max or whatever, and write you a check. I think a lot of people should do that. I think everybody should do that. Take it more seriously. Don't show up with dirty bikes, and have your guy put a shirt on with your number and whatever.
What was your race number? Did you have a favorite race number?
I was number 98. They took it out of retirement in 84. Sonny Nutter had it in 84 or 5. And just to show up for the first night at South Bay Stadium. And then I got Rookie of the Year. Agajanian was helping me, and he said, hey, you know what? You ought to be 98. And that's when we did the Miami Vice leathers and all that crap, you know. Had ascot on my chest. And for years, I made, you know, that brings up a good story. Agajanian gave me a billboard. I went to Bates Leathers, and I traded them 3 sets of leathers for a billboard. Okay, so I'd sell 2 sets of leathers, and I'd get one. And every Speedway guy that took my Bates Leathers Doug Nicol business card in and bought a suit, I got $50, you know? So there's little things like that you can do where you can make some cash, you know, doing stuff like that. And it didn't cost Chris anything to give me a piece of plywood. And I sold it to Bates, you know, for 3 suits, and I only used one. So I made some coin. It was cool.
Did you ever teammate with somebody like when you were riding? I was listening to Greg's podcast about teammates and stuff. I think it was episode 8, and when he formed the XI team.
No, we didn't have. Well, you know, I rode for Donnie Faulkner in 86 and 7, and he got tired of my antics, you know, and he hired Alan Christian and Robert Fetzing for a little while, and Doug Farrell for a little while too. And I think it was, you know, I always wanted to beat those guys when they were riding my other bike, you know. And I think Donnie did it on purpose to light a fire under my ass, you know. Really, I've been friends with the Faulkners since I started, you know, I started racing in 67, scrambles. And
hey, Doug, do you have any plans to ride again soon?
I might go to Milestone and ride.
And practice?
I think so. I never do. I never go practice. I just go out there and fake it. And then the first couple rides are kind of scary, but then it kind of works out usually.
Awesome. Maybe you can hold a class out there for some kids.
I need to talk to the people in charge out there and see what we can do. I would love to have the academy again. My name doesn't have the recognition of the guy that I used to help do it. It doesn't open doors like that. And also, you know, I work at FMF part-time. I work at Murray Company full-time. I'm always working. So I don't really have that much time, but I sure would love to, you know, to have some academies and, you know, maybe see if Greg or Lance King or somebody would help me do it. They could get people in the seats, you know, they could get kids to come. I'll just push them around and you know, do all that dirty stuff.
One last question. Okay, this is the last one. How'd you get the names for Brock and Hannah?
I lived with Danny Laporte in '77, and that's when the whole deal came up with Let Brock Buy. And we went to Hangtown, and Danny won he won both motos at the opening round of the 125 Nationals. And I don't know who got second. I think, it was the Yamaha guys were fast, Hannah and, Brock Glover and Bob Hannah. But we led the championship the whole year, the whole way until the last lap of the last race in San Antonio, Texas. And that's when, Keith McCarty puts the sign out, Let Brock Buy. And Hannah hated Brock Glover. Bob Hannah hated him, and he admits it, And Danny could care less. Oh, yeah, well, his team orders, no big deal. Bob rode off and didn't come. He stopped with a 39-second lead. Okay, and he didn't come to the podium, didn't do anything. He took off because he was pissed that Yamaha had him do it. Short story long, I named my daughter Hannah and Brock, and Brock Glover follows him all the time. We see him all the time. He's cool.
When you look up Brock Nicol, you go. There's only one.
Yeah, Laporte asked me. He goes, I never even thought about it because he's been helping Brocky. When Brock had a KTM and stuff. Danny would bring over all the junk from FMF and help him out. And Brock was number H4, and that was Danny's number, and that was my first pro number too in motocross. And Danny asked Brock, hey, what number are you going to be? I think I'll be number H4. And Danny goes, hey, that's pretty cool. That's a good number, Brock. And he had no idea. Brock had no idea that was Danny's number, And but he asked me just a few weeks ago, he said, I never even put two and two together. He goes, why did you name your kids Brock and Hannah? And we laughed, So I still see him all the time. FMF is right across the street from my shop. And like I said, I work there doing the maintenance and stuff,
All right. Well, thank you. I'm sorry we went over on time, but you have some great stories. I'll see you at Paris.
Okay, later. I'm small and I got a big mouth.
If you guys made it to the end of the interview, I'd like to say congratulations. I like to try to keep my interviews under 10 minutes, but this was Doug Nicol, so he gets all the time he wants. Doug Nicol's crash, right here. Click on the video to see his over-the-wall crash at Costa Mesa. Also, if you can subscribe, you'll get an email every week when I publish a new interview. Stickers. I want some stickers for my backdrop, so if you have stickers, come see me at Paris, or you can email me where to send them. Next interview will be with Travis Horn. So please stay tuned, subscribe, like, and have a great week.
I'm small and I got a big mouth.